Hi guys, and welcome to my guide and overview for food and fertility in Total War Attila. A lot of people enjoyed my politics guide and wanted to see more, so that's why I also will cover other parts of the game right now. First of all, food and fertility. So to make it easier, I also made a written version of this guide. Link to that is in the description and in the comment section. And I also decided to divide the video in 4 parts to make it easier. First, why do you need food? Then how do you get food? What makes you lose food, and how to get rid of a food shortage as fast as possible. This guide is both for the casual, basic player as for the experienced player. I will cover the entire system and also the more in-depth stuff. So first of all, this is one of my... Well, this is basically a Eastern Roman Empire campaign, of course, and we are suffering from a global food shortage, and you can see that by this icon. It's in red, -26, so a negative food surplus, which means we have a global food shortage. This will bring a couple of negative things for our empire. First of all, the provinces with a food shortage will get different penalties. For example, Amida, if you go to details, food, you can still see it still has a positive food surplus, so 30. This means that this province will not have any penalties at all. However, this province, it does have a food shortage. We can see that right here, -16 food, and that means that in this province, so all the provinces with a food shortage itself, all those provinces will have attrition and no replenishment. You can see that right here, in this province, no replenishment at all good. If I enter the food shortage province, I will go server attrition. Your troops are deserting because you can no longer sustain them. That's basically it, and I can't replenish, of course, when this happens. So a global food shortage will give you attrition in all provinces with a food shortage. It also gives you this trait, -2 integrity, -1% replenishment, and -1 growth, which is of course not what you want, a small decrease of different things. And besides that, you will also get in negative things in the different provinces with food. For example, here we have nothing. But in this province where we have a food shortage, you will get this. Famine, of course, interrupts unit replenishment, desertion causes unit attrition, but also -1 public order and -25% wealth from all buildings. This amount of public order depends on the size of your food shortage as well, so it can be worse than -1. That's basically what you get when you have a global food shortage. Now in this case I don't have a global food shortage, but I do have some food shortages in different provinces. For example, right here, Nicomedia, as you can see, food shortage. In this case it only gives you the minus public order and minus wealth penalties. It won't give you the attrition. That's only when you have a global food shortage. So a provincial food shortage will only give you minus public order and minus wealth in a particular province. Now if you have a positive global food surplus, as you can see right now, you will get this trait, a small bonus to replenishment and growth, which is kind of handy. So now we're going to how do you get food, a very important thing of course. You need food to avoid those negative penalties. So right now we're taking a look at this Geats campaign. It's easier to explain for you guys. The main way to get food is obviously buildings. Just buildings at all. And in this game there are 2 different types of getting food from buildings. The first one is easy. For example, if we build this granary, we will get +30 food from reserves. That's easy, of course, just +30 to your food. But you have also more in-depth stuff. For example, this one right here, food +20 from agriculture, so you will always get that. But also 28 additional food +14 per local fertility level. So now I will quickly explain the fertility system. Every province in the game has a fertility level. We can see that on this overview, for example. Right here, fertility is poor, base fertility 2. It's a bit greener right here, base fertility 3. And there are different kinds of things. Of course, here's base fertility 5, as you can see. And that level cannot be changed. There's nothing you can do, basically. You can see it in the details right here, fertility poor. If you hover your mouse over it, you will see base fertility 2. So in this case, our fertility of the province is 2. So this building, it gives me +5 per local fertility level. So I have a level of 2, which means I will get 2 times that 5, so I get 10 additional food. So if you have a high fertility in your province, it may be wise to take a food building which gives you a lot of food per local fertility level. If you have a very low fertility level, like in this province, it may be handier to get a nice base food income, like this one +40 from animal husbandry. That's the basic thing to do it really. Fertility will decrease though when you get climate change, which just happens every couple of turns basically. Your fertility level will decrease by 1, so that will immediately decrease the amount of food you have, so stay aware of that. So that's buildings, that's obviously the main way to get food. There are also a couple of other ways. For example, it is autumn right now. The autumn season will also give you plus 14 food for each province. Keep in mind that this is only for one season, so don't just take it in account for the entire year. Then raiding. For example, if we move this army, this army right here, and we start raiding the province, we also gain a small number of food. We get a little bit of food, just a small amount. Another thing is skills. Your general, for example, for the barbarian factions, this one, food 5 from characters governed province. So this will also give you some extra food. You can also get different trades and stuff to get you food. But the main thing is buildings. The other things are more like temporary fixings and stuff. The main things is just buildings. So the main thing you need to keep in mind is fertility. If you have a high fertility, build buildings with a high amount of additional food per fertility level. If you have a low fertility, build buildings with just a base value of food, a high base value. So what makes you lose food? Well, take a look at this Eastern Roman Empire campaign with a global food shortage, as you can see. So what makes you lose food? The main thing that will cost you food are buildings as well. For example, this city, minus 100 food consumption. This governor's estate, minus 50 food consumption. Let's see if we get some more. Vicus, minus 10 food consumption. A lot of buildings cost food. You need food to be able to build your buildings. That's the main thing. There are also a couple of smaller things that will cost you food, and that may be the case why your food may differ every turn. First of all, raiding. As you can see, we have Alaric right here, raiding my territory. If we hover our mouse over this one, you will see minus 8 from raiding. You will also get minus 8 from hordes in your provinces. That's just always the case. Even if you have peace with the horde will always take some of your food. You also have devastation from battles. If you just fought battles, if your cities have been besieged, if your cities have been sacked, like this one for example, you will also get a decrease of food. There are also a number of skills and a number of trades which will instantly cost you food, and that's why it's really wise to always get a decent food surplus. Don't get like only 10, because a single event, a single thing may cripple your entire food system, may cost you your entire armies, and may even lose you your campaign. So always try to keep this like at least 80 to 100 in the mid game. That's my opinion. So then one last thing that costs you food, and a lot of you may not know about this, it's only for the horde factions, so the migrating factions, is rivalry. You can see that right here. Rivalry. The concentration of your forces in the region is inflaming the rivalries within the horde. Plus 15 food consumption. You can also see this right here. This is for both my armies, so both have rivalry. And that will cost me a lot of food as well in this case, like minus 30. So why do you get this? You get this when when two different hordes, two armies, are in the same province. That's basically how it happens, but it does cause like a big penalty, so just keep it in mind when playing as the horde factions. So now we get to how to get rid of a food shortage as fast as possible, some latest tips. There are a couple of ways. The first thing is to demolish your buildings that cost food. For example, if this building would have cost food, if I just demolish it, it will only cost me 1 turn, and of course it will get rid of the amount of food I need for it. So that's a quick way to fix it in only 1 turn. There's also a way to fix it in the same turn, and that's this. If you disable taxes, of course if you just tax the province, you will get all the things as normal, but if you exempt the region from tax, you will basically exclude it from the food and the wealth on the tax system. So if I do this, right now I get plus 16 from buildings, plus 14 from province events, which is the season, and plus 10 from fertility. If I just disable these taxes, I will only get my bonus because of the season, but the entire building system is gone, really. It doesn't matter anymore. So if you have a lot of provinces and only a couple are causing your food problems, you can just disable the taxes to get rid of the food shortage instantly. Another way to do it is to build buildings. The downside is that it will cost you a couple of turns, so you will probably suffer attrition for a couple of turns as well. So this is a slow method, but it will give you a nice building, of course, for the late game as well. Another quick way to give you a couple of points when you only have like -5 food, you can just raid the enemy province. This will give you a couple amount of extra food and also give you some money. You can also raise your entire settlement. That's only when you have a lot of cities as well, of course. Just nuke it, get it off the map, and that will get rid of all the buildings in there as well, so also all the food costing buildings. That's basically the way to do it. My main advice would be just to use the tech system and the buildings. Just play around with the buildings, demolish some, build some new, and you will basically fix the food shortage. So always keep watching at the buildings. Buildings are definitely the main ways which affect food, but keep in mind of all the little things that come with it as well, like the season, the skills, the trades, the raiding, all those stuff. Just keep it in mind because you don't want those penalties. They may cripple your economy and may destroy your entire campaign. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.